Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. And my name is Simone Vincenzi. I'm your host, and this is the show for coaches, speakers, and trainers who want to grow their businesses by making an impact in the world. We're live a few times a week, and we release different episodes. Sometimes a solo episode when I share some behind the scene of the things that we do here at GTeX. Sometimes we have a client stories, so you can see how our clients are doing and how they're getting their success, as well as incredible guests like we have today. I've been pulling the curtain on what they do behind the scene, so then you can learn from the masters. And that's why we are here today. So stay tuned because the episode today is going to be incredible. And now, before we get started, a few things. One, if you haven't joined our Facebook group and you want a community around you, then make sure you scroll down in the show notes, check out our Facebook group, Explode Your Expert Business Community, where you can interact with all the other members, you can create partnerships, you can also learn valuable content to help you grow your coaching and speaking business. And the second thing is that you know that to grow a successful business, you need to be visible, you need to be known. But how do you get known? How do you approach media? How do you approach publications? Creating a database and knowing how to approach journalists is hard. So we have taken the hard work from you, and we have created our database with more than 700 publications and podcasts that you can reach out to. You have templates, emails, and social media templates on how to reach out to hosts and journalists. They're all divided by different niches. So all you got to do is literally copy and paste, contact the journalist, and see your profile grow and influence grow. So if that's something you're in, make sure you check it out. It's our ultimate publicity bundle, and you can find the link in the show notes. Now, without further ado, it's time to introduce our guest, our incredible guest for today. Let me just give you some information about him first. He's the founder and co-founder of Word Masterclass, Shock Media Studio, and Shop Live. He built 3 companies from scratch to $1 million businesses. It's been 18 years of experience in digital marketing. It generated almost $1 million in 7 days from 4 product launches online. And also has been awarded some of the top 30 outstanding young Malaysian awards and 100 most influential young entrepreneurs. And also is an international speaker, trainer, and spoke in over 20 countries and spoke as well on TEDx. Without further ado, please welcome Vince Tan. Vince, great to see you here. How are you doing today?
Hello, buddy. Thank you very much. Today is a good day when I see you. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, I know we connected through mutual friends, delivered some workshop for the masterclass that you did. I think there were like 6,000 people in that group on that. So before we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, we are going to talk about business strategies that you find at work. So everyone stay tuned. I just want to get started first, understanding from your perspective, right? What is the number one lesson that you got from being an entrepreneur? Can be a life lesson or can be a business lesson. Just number one.
I think the biggest lesson at the moment that I learned about, which is really important to me, is that I'm so afraid about time is being so limited. I mean, I start to have that fear of very limited time, and actually that's a good thing. I mean, I don't know, something kicked in like for the last few years that I kind of felt that way, and that little fear of knowing that time is limited kind of kicked me in the ass and just make me continue to move forward faster and faster and faster, and kind of make me find a way to do things faster and better than ever before. So and this is what I've been trying to kind of remind a lot of people about it, and hoping that they will get the same kind of boost. So I think if there's one thing that entrepreneurship have taught me, is that I got to spend my time extremely carefully, so that I can make the most out of it. So that's really my take, especially in these few years.
What is one thing that you have done because of this notion of time is running out, and
Yeah.
that you would not have done otherwise? One thing that you just did because of that reason.
Wow, that's a very good question that you got me thinking a bit. But I realized that one thing that I did over the last few years because of this is that my calendar, the way I use it, really differs, so majorly different from the last 30 years. Is that I put in like every single bit of time that I'm gonna use it for what purpose. For example, like I have a time for my family, for my kids, for my wife, for my in-laws, for my own parents. What day I go dinner with them, what day I go with dinner with my in-laws, what day I have dinner with my wife and stuff like that. I realized that, as an entrepreneur, we always make the mistake of like, yeah, we will do this when we have the time. We will do this when we have the time. And you know what? We usually push away the time that we spend with families. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mistake that a lot of people don't wish to admit, but I'm pretty sure a lot of entrepreneurs do.
Guilty.
And
Guilty.
so when I put that in, right, I realized that I start to have more life than ever before. And you know what's the best part about this? Because this will start to condition the people around me. And my parents don't get worked up that suddenly I just appear in front of their doorstep on a random days when I thought that I have the time for it. So they know that every particular day of the week I will appear with my family, and they will just know how to prepare food for that particular day. So they don't get stressed about it. And I don't get stressed about it. They don't have to call me like, when are you coming back? When are you coming to visit me? That kind of thing. So it's like I find that to be so amazing that when I did that, I find that I have more life than a lot of people because of that discipline of putting that into the calendar. Some people say that may say that, oh my God, that sounds so robotic. That sounds so like so fixated. But actually, I think that it's actually doing good. Because if you go with the flow, you end up like, okay, never mind, I'm busy this week, I'll visit my parents next week. Next week comes again, then you gotta give the same excuse again. So I think because of time limitation, that fear of time is limited, I start to put this into the calendar. And even my to-do list is no longer a to-do list because I think to-do list doesn't work. To-do calendar works. That means I put the task into the calendar itself. And then after that,
so you can also see if you have time for it or not, because sometimes we can have these to-do lists that are infinite and we never have enough time to do it because we just put too much on.
Correct.
It feels like actually I can see where in the calendar I have time for that particular activity.
Exactly. So I fit the to-do list into the calendar itself. And then and one interesting tip for all of you listening is that, Google Calendar, when you click on it, right, you will set a 1 hour schedule for anything that you click on. So switch that to 15 minutes. And then what will happen is that you will start to realize that, because if you click and by default it's an hour, a lot of us tend to be lazy to change that schedule by, we don't really tweak that schedule like to half an hour or 15 minutes. But if you set it to the lowest common denominator, which is 15 minutes, then you will see that you can have a lot more time for a lot of things. So I mean, these are just some, it sounds like productivity hack, but this is one big thing that kind of helped me in the last couple of years a lot, actually.
And that you would have not done without the notion of time is limited. Because sometimes the reason why I asked this question, and then now we're going to get to know you a bit better, but we through entrepreneurship, I feel that accelerates time and accelerates consciousness, accelerates everything. It's almost like a personal development course on steroids when you start your own business, and you learn different things, and everything that you learn makes us think in a different way, and we think in a different way, we act in a different way. And so I think it's also important for us to reflect how we acting, because by analyzing how we acting, then also we analyze how we are thinking by default, and like exploring with this question. So let's get to know you a bit more. So how was your journey in entrepreneurship? Were you born in an entrepreneurial family? Was it something that was common around you? Was it something that, you're just like the odd one out? What was your journey like?
Actually, it's funny that you asked that question because I did another interview just yesterday, And when I was thinking back, like because my dad is just he's a mechanic. He repair cars. And before my mom became a housewife, she was a beautician. So it doesn't spell any entrepreneurial, spirit in there. And the fact that my parents are very, very typical Asian parents, which in case any one of you just wondering like what the heck is Asian parents, it means that you got to study 247, like just study, 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 study. Do not ever have a girlfriend until you're 60 years old, and do not work while you are studying, because you do not lose your focus. You should always study until you complete everything. Then you go and find a job, and get a proper job. That's typical Asian parents, Even though my dad before being a mechanic, he was an entrepreneur, but he kind of like got into some issues with because recession sets in during the time that he was expanding, and it's just double whammy, and then like things go bust. So that kind of like sets him back, and I guess that also kind of tell me to be playing a bit safe to a certain extent. So it's not really from that side, but I have to give credits to some of the credits to my brother. Actually, he's the first that exposed me to this guy by the name Bill Gates. Because when 30 over years ago, there's no Elon Musk, there's no Jeff, there's nobody. There's only this one guy, right?
And there
this
was
one
no
dude.
social media as well.
Correct. So he started to tell me about Bill Gates and when I was like maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. And like you telling a kid 8, 9 years old about Bill Gates, about being a billionaire, being self-made at the age of 30. And then I end up telling everybody, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire. So even though it sounds like a very naive situation, but I have to say that could be one of the first starting point of where things start to happen.
I'm curious, sorry to interrupt you. How did your brother get into it?
So he's a software engineer, so he loves computer stuff. So when you are a nerd, right, your idol is Bill Gates, right? Because it's the richest nerd in the world.
100%. 100%. Is the nerds of nerds.
Exactly.
They're rich. I like it.
So that's how I was exposed to the first biography, which is Bill Gates' biography. Business at the Speed of Thoughts. Like for 7, 8, 9 years old kid, like exposed to all this. I may be very naive at that point in time. I have no clue when I say I want to be a millionaire, what does that implies? But I even printed name cards and give it to people in my school at the age of 8, 9 years old, and everybody laugh at you. It's like, what are you trying to do? So I thought printing name cards and putting there my name and CEO, that means that I am a business person. So I remember doing this kind of funny stuff.
Wow.
But I think because of all these little things, and then my brother just feeding me with all this information, because it was only me and him, and he was 7 years older than me. So he just, whatever he reads, he feeds to me, and I think that really started to influence me. And somehow when I was young, I started to try to make my own money, trying to take my magic color pencil and rent it out to the kids in the school and make spare pocket money and stuff like that. So I start to like to make money and spend my own money. I find joy in that freedom. And so that kind of like probably trigger why I would think about how to solve a problem when I face a problem since young. Like, when I want to get internet access at the year 1990, there was no internet in Malaysia. So I have to call to the US to get internet access from AT&T. So, but long distance call is expensive, right? So what happened was I created a circuit board to trick my local telco so that I can call to the US for free of charge when I was 9 years old. So
you created that.
Yeah, so I did silly stuff like that, and just for the entertainment of all your audience, right? I did a lot of crazy stuff in my life. I'm gonna share just 2 because I'm not sure how far we can push the boundary of today's episode.
Okay.
One example of loving making money then doing crazy stuff is that I remember at one point in time I was involved with online gambling, but in an interesting way. So what we did was we have a software to track the biggest poker loser in the world. So this software will crawl the entire internet of every casino to find out how much money people lose every single day, right? And then when we found the biggest loser comes online, it will wake us up as a team. We will all go to the same table and flood the entire table with all our players with that one loser, and we'll suck out every single cent from this loser. We are not cheating. We are just playing with the lousiest player in the world. You can try to say that will increase our odds. So that's
I
the
feel
this,
I feel for this poor guy, for this poor people. We're just like they gotta
surprisingly
become
that
better.
surprisingly that these people, right,
Yeah.
they lose about 500,000 to 1 million a day. I don't know where their money came from. It's quite
Wow.
crazy. Yep. And okay, just one more. It looks like you got shocked a little bit and seeing my story. I'm gonna
No,
share
but
a
I
slightly.
like it because this is what makes it. This is what makes things real, right? It's all
Yeah,
these things that we do that, in one way or another, they prepare us for the businesses that we will run in the future, even
true,
if it's a
true,
completely
true.
different field.
True. Just one more quick one is which I'm quite proud of, but I was very scared to tell anybody about it many years ago. I was spamming. I crashed the Google server before. I actually crashed the Google server before
Okay.
because I was spamming the search engine like crazy. So
Okay.
I developed a software together with my students that I used to lecture. I was the youngest lecturer in my university at the age of 20.
Mhm.
Came out with the software in 3 months to generate unlimited English content with just a click of a button. So at one point in time, I had 25,000.com. I generated over 5 billion pages of rubbish on the internet. Yep. Fully automated. So we were banging in about 20 grand a day. So,
in
and
in
up to one,
ads, like, was that in ads or?
yeah. It was the AdSense, the advertisement.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how it disrupted Google is because something, Google owned this thing called Blogspot. Like last time, it's pretty popular, Blogspot.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Google hosts your blogs, right? So we had to create a lot of that blogs to kind of link to our website for
sure.
I don't want to get into techie stuff, but basically like SEO, like
To
get
get to
rank
get
up and all that.
backlink to get backlinks
Yeah.
from
Correct.
different websites, so
So
increases
so
your
so
ranking on the main SEO.
Correct. So we hired a lot of interns to create the Blogspot account because when you register for Google account, they give you a captcha, right? Like you have to solve that
You got to do
alphabets,
it manually. You got to do it
and you couldn't do
manually.
it automatically last time. There's no technology to do that. So we had like 20 interns and generated about a couple of millions of that account. And we were banging the server so hard that we actually crashed the Google server for a couple of minutes. And I think within 12 hours, like they found everything that we did and it was all gone. So
Everything got shut down. Man, you should, in the introduction, in the bullet points, so you should add the man who crashed the Google server. I think that's
you,
impressive.
you got a
I,
point. You
I'm
got a point.
I'm curious. What is um, the the biggest, or of course, with the hindsight, we reframe failures as learning experiences, but using the word failure at the time when you had it, what was the biggest business failure that you had?
At the younger age, right, I will say that the I think I was too unfocused. I was trying to do a lot of business. I believe one of the mistakes, in my personal opinion, was that trying to juggle like 10, 12 business at the same time.
Hmm.
Because I thought by doing more, I'm gonna get more. But I mean, like, I wish I would have learned this lesson earlier. And this is one common mistake that a lot of people will make because they'll feel that if I can do one, if I can do two, three, four, five, I mean that sounds really cool, right? But that's the greedy mentality. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth is, now that I went through it and make the mistakes, I honestly feel that it is true that if you focus on one or two business, it's gonna be amazing. 1 to 2 business is fine.
Yeah.
It makes you so much more than having 10 smaller business. So it was, in my personal opinion, I spent like maybe 3, 4, 5 years went through that phase. I think it's inevitable, to be honest with you. But like you say, with hindsight, what would I think about that? I would say that is probably my biggest mistakes. That cost me about
What I
five
was
years.
curious as well, what I was curious is any particular project that went wrong or that put you in a very difficult situation to come out from.
I always get that question, and to be honest with you, I always find it very challenging.
Mhm.
The reason is because I think since young I was trained very well to deal with this to the point that I feel so numb about it. Like
Right.
I really don't feel anything about failure. But if there's one point, the most difficult part was that just about maybe 6, 7 years ago, where I mean that one is like after my wife have delivered triplets and all that. and it's just 6-7 years ago. I think it come to the point that I was putting so much money into a business up to the point that I'm left with like, I remember I wish I would take the photo because that will make a great slide for my speaking engagement. But I was like, dang, I remember very clearly it was only like 100 over bucks, something along that line, which I don't even dare to tell my wife about it because I take so much risk. That is stressful. I have no doubt about it. I won't deny it. It is stressful. Yeah, that's probably the most stressful
How
time.
did you, the reason why I asked you this question is because what I really want to know is how did you turn that situation around? How did you come out of it? What did it take?
I just go and do sales.
So more sales, more sales.
So literally I was like spend that couple of months like bang on the sales. Like, so I remember like every day I would have at least minimum 8 appointments.
Mhm.
8 to 12 appointments a day, like sales appointment. And we have to travel from one place to another, and I could manage 8 to 12 appointments every single day, Monday to Saturday. All right.
Mhm.
And because I know
And that was
sales
with your
kill everything.
wife just having delivered triplets on
Yeah,
top
I
of
mean
that.
that's like probably my kids is when they are about 2-3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it's challenging. The challenge is the fact that I take so much risk. I know what stress involved, but at the same time knowing that my wife feeling stressful about it, and I don't blame her for it, and because yeah, obviously it's very normal for her to feel that way. So
Yeah.
so coming from all angle, it makes it really really challenging. Yeah. So
Thank you for sharing, Vince, because sometimes we don't. I think that every entrepreneur that created something, or even that started, there is an element of risk, but you're not dealing with your own internal pressure.
yeah.
When you have a family, now you're dealing with the pressure, the external pressure of your parents, of your partners. If you have kids, the responsibilities of being a mom or a dad, and
Yeah.
what it would mean to give a life to give a future for your kids, and what if I screw this up? And there is all this part that um, is I think what really forms the character of an entrepreneur, because once you're able to deal with this kind of situations, then you become much stronger. And
Yep.
like I remember, like for us it was a business retreat that went bad, and we lost a lot of money from that bit. Like we decided to run this business retreat in Thailand years ago, and we put all this money and we booked this big, awesome villa. We didn't sell enough tickets, barely enough tickets. And so we ended up being like 5-6 people in this place that could take probably like 100 people.
Wow.
Luxury. We had like 3 chefs that were. It was a car crash. It was a car crash, and we spent like about 2 years to pay off the debts that were created by that situation, and everything was just coming back just to repay things. And so we couldn't even make what little money we were making, we're putting back to repaying debts. We're putting back to repaying debts. Or there was another situation where we just like we had about a 20,000 pound tax bill, and we just didn't have 20 grand. And I'm like, taxes got to be paid. I
Yeah.
need a miracle right now. And just like selling like crazy. And is the situation that also the necessity of the situation also shows us like the character of people. Some people, they just give up. People, I know entrepreneurs that kill themselves because they couldn't deal with the pressure, and
Yep.
entrepreneurs that shut down everything, declare bankruptcy because they couldn't turn the situation around. So thank you for sharing that part. Now, I want to say, before we move into some strategy that works and a bit of the work that you're doing right now, I want to
Yeah.
flip the question and looking at what is, in your opinion, because sometimes what is for you, it might not be for others. What is for others might not be for you, right? The
True.
the biggest business success, the thing that you're the most proud of that you have achieved so far.
Oh, it's got to be whatever I'm doing right now, which is so. I mean, I have quite a fair bit of different businesses. All right. And the one that I'm really proud of, to be honest, was the education business, which is World Masterclass,
Yeah.
which is actually by accident because I was a speaker about 10 years ago together with people like Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, and all that, and doing that circuit of trainings and all. So then after that, because of triplets, so I kind of retired from speaking.
I think
And then,
you came to London actually a few times as well to speak, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, correct. So I used to do that 10 years ago. Then I stopped, and then my triplets came
That,
about.
and I remember, and you know why I'm saying, because I remember that because you were one of the speakers in one of the events that I attended when I just started attending seminars, and
Oh,
so
okay.
that's why.
Wow,
That's why. Yeah,
it's been a
it's
while.
about 10 years ago, exactly.
Yeah. So then I came back to do speaking is because the organizer like kind of like keep asking me to speak because I happen to be probably their one of their top closers. So I decided to come back to speaking scene about 3 years ago, because the kids have grown up. And I thought that I really, really enjoy teaching very, very much. In
Yeah.
fact, I even tell my university, like, I'll be happy to go and teach just for the heck of it. That's how much I enjoy teaching. So I came back to speaking and teach. I was teaching, now I teach entrepreneurship. And the last 4 years we have created like, I didn't count, but if I were to give an estimate, I think I would have created tens and tens and tens of millionaires from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to create that many millionaires from scratch over a span of 3 to 4 years, I think that I'm not bad as a teacher.
You're right.
and,
You're right.
and you know what's the best part about it is that the students end up making me millionaire over and over again. That is the part that I'm super happy to brag, but I don't really want to brag about it. But I kind of like among my private network of friends, I said, a lot of people say that, oh yeah, I'm a great teacher. That's one level. And then some people say, yeah, I'm a great teacher and I make other people become very successful. That's second level. I like to say that, you know what? Not only I make my student awesome and get results, my student is making me millionaires now. That is another level. That shows that like what I teach really works, and then like people kind of really get a result. And I invest my money in them. Like I invest millions and millions of dollars in my students. That is another thing that not many teachers I think would do. And I put my money where my mouth is. That's what I'm trying to say. But but that's not the best part. So that has gone on really well for the last 4 years, and it was amazing. It created a great ecosystem. But I realized that I love education business so much that I started to invest and and groom trainers and speakers. So the last 18 to 24 months, a secret project has been going on. I've been grooming about can't tell you the exact number, but it's quite a fair bit of number. It's double digit, not yet go to 3 digit. And I'm able to literally bring speakers and I mean like speakers from those who are really has the heart to serve, and they have good stuff and it can really help people. I want to help them to help more people, and I find so much of joy in doing that. And it's amazing. Like I have one, I just groomed him to up to the market like last week. This guy can train anyone to speak Mandarin, even if you have never spoken a single word before, within 1 day.
Wow.
And this guy is not even a Chinese.
What?
He is an Indian. An Indian
Okay, so you
guy
have an Indian, you have trained an Indian, and this Indian is teaching people to speak Mandarin, even if they're never speaking a word of Chinese in their lives,
in within 1 day.
within 1 day. That's insane.
Yeah. So he has something good, but sometimes trainers and speakers, they are good in what they do, but they may not know how to bring it to the world. So last week was his first webinar, and from the result, it looks like in the first year it's gonna be about 1.4 million in business.
And that's a great success. We can see it. And so you mentioned that you have different levels, exactly, like when you're able to get results for your clients, or when you're able to get results for yourself, when you're able to get results for your clients that are getting results for others. What do you think is the defining factor, if there is one, that creates this separation between one category to another?
I think that, I mean, to be honest, I think there's quite a number of factors, and I believe that strategy do play a very important role. I can't give you one. Let me give you two. Okay, let me give you
Okay,
two.
give me two. Give me two. The top two. The top two. Of course, like
I
like
personally
success
think
is
that,
never one thing or is never two things. There is always a
correct.
combination, but sometimes there are one or two that have the biggest weight.
So the two biggest one is that why I'm able to bring like the this education business and replicate that same success across everybody else is that number one is that I accelerated my own experience as fast as possible so that I can then pass this experience to them. So you know, we always say about like having mentor is really important in your life. This is extremely true because why? My ad spend is about 1 million a month. All right. And if any speakers were to even ask them, if you ask them to spend like 20, 30,000 a month, they will feel that that's quite a big deal for them.
Yes.
So being able to spend 1 million a month, I'm pretty sure you agree that I see certain things that maybe some people don't, right?
Very different. You've got
And
completely different data, awareness,
correct.
points, testing, returns.
Exactly. So when I look at them within the first webinar, the next webinar, I tell them, okay, let's time to throw in like 50,000 a week. They'll be like, huh? What do you mean? Like I never even spent 50,000 in a year, and you're telling me to spend 50,000 in a week. I say, yeah, don't worry. You know. So I, so I always tell them when I invest in them, I borrow them my brains and my balls. All right. So I think. So I think that plays a very important role. Having mentors is a very important step in whatever that you're trying to achieve. Like I seriously mean that. Not just me being mentor to other people, but I believe in anything that any one of you are doing who is listening right now, having a mentor with that experience that's already been there and done that is so. I sometimes I feel so underrated. Like everybody say, yeah, I heard of that, but seriously, like you got to really believe in that. That is really true. Number two, I believe culture is extremely important. So so I tend to instill certain culture into people that I invest and work with. And one of the culture that have served me very well is the serving culture, the servant leadership. I truly believe in that, and I believe that that has created a very good culture in me and my stakeholders and people that I invest in, and even in my students and even in my customers. I think that has served me so well over the last few years, and I would say that this two is probably my biggest take away from this whole entire thing.
Mentor and culture. And
Yeah.
for you, the biggest part of the culture is the servant leadership, and
Yeah.
that's how you're able to create something that has a massive ripple effect and replicate it. Now let's talk a bit more. Let's talk in the final part of the interview, strategic, because we covered a lot of mindset, we covered stories, and of course, running a business. There are so many strategies that and that's also what I found. A lot of people get overwhelmed. It's like, what am I going to do, right? Like, what strategy am I going to implement? I've learned from this person, they say one thing. I've learned from this person, they said the other thing. I've learned from this person, they said the other thing. What am I going to follow? From your personal perspective and the work that also you're doing with your clients and your own business, we can talk about strategies or some things that you feel they are a must, can be replicated in any business or any industry.
Okay, you're asking for the silver bullet, right?
Hey, I'll take my shots. I got you here right now, so
I think there's a few. Of course, it's not gonna be one thing, but I mean, like to kind of like streamline it a little bit for the audience. I think there's a few key things that I always look at. Right, number one is to establish a baseline data points. That means to say to understand. I mean, on the assumption that you have already validated and you have gone to the market. Okay, I'm not going to talk about validation, right? I mean that like you can search that on Google, but I think that I want to give you and the audience like much more concrete stuff is that
yes,
establish the baseline data. That means to say to understand where is it currently operating. That means like how much is you are spending on marketing and how much you are making and that kind of stuff, right? First establish that understanding first, right? And try to optimize that. And then once you have that baseline, Like, you know that, okay, I'm spending this much, I'm getting this much and all that. And in fact, I'm going to say that, if you don't know how to do business with paid advertising, you have got no business, right? I mean, organic is great. It's a bonus. I treat it as a bonus. But again, this is just my opinion, right? I mean, everyone can have their opinion. I personally believe that paid advertising, it's always something that you can scale and control. Okay, even though you can argue with me that, oh yeah, but Facebook can ban you. Yes, I get it, but organic is something that is not so predictable, isn't it? Like, if people promote you, then they promote you, but can you consistently get people promote you every single day? I mean, so that's the question mark, right?
Yeah.
So establish the baseline with paid advertising, and then after that, number two is to optimize them, right? But one thing that is really serving me well right now, and this is like a golden tip here, okay, is to make sure the keyword is this, MCLTV, all right? Maximum customer lifetime value. Okay. So which means to say you will want to total up, right? If someone comes to you and say, I want to buy everything that you got to offer, how much is that total? Okay. If it's anything like 10, 20, 30,000, right? Make sure that it is at least 100,000. Okay. That is the first exercise that you need to do that's going to increase your earnings, right, by at least 20, 30%. Because a lot of people normally take the other route, is that, okay, I'm going to go to the market, I got this product, and maybe I got an upsell, or maybe I got 3 things, that's it, right? And then they start to build things along the way. You get what I'm trying to say? So for them, if you do this method of organic, increasing your product line, by the time you hit a total product line of 100,000, maybe it takes you like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, even if you get there. But if you force yourself to think about all the things that you can do to increase up to 100,000 today, okay, flex your brain for 24 hours and figure that out, and then you put that and then you see that, okay, I have this 100,000 funnel. Okay, now next thing is to ask yourself, how long it's gonna take for people to reach from that first product to the last product. Maybe you might figure like, okay, it takes about 3 to 4 years to get there, right? With all the emails, reminders, and all that. Then the next thing is, how can I squeeze that down to do it within 12 months? This one simple exercise alone, if you cannot make extra 20, 30% of whatever you're making right now, I will shoot myself in my head, all right? Because that is once.
I'm going to do it. I was like, I think I know what I'm going to do after this interview. It is there are two great points here. One is around organic versus paid. Paid is the thing that you can control the most, because if you're talking about organic, Facebook can shut down your organic account. It can shut down your Facebook group. It can shut down the reach that you organically have anyway. Is not going to be as high as the reach when you're paying even something small. Like, you don't need to spend $1 million a month to make paid advertising work. You start where you are, but then you know that you can scale and optimize. And the more you make, the more you invest. The more you make, the more you invest. Then the other part is the lifetime value of the customer. Because if the more you increase the lifetime value, now, it takes time and effort and energy anyway to get the first sales from that one person. But if you're able now to maximize and extending it and even stretching it out, say, okay, how can I get this person to spend 100,000 with me? What can I offer them that could be so valuable for them that they will want over the period of time to spend 100,000 with me? They might not spend 100,000, but I guarantee they're going to spend more than maybe like $5 or right, or what you had planned before anyway.
Exactly. But that's not the end part here. Okay, so I mean, I think this podcast is worth like at least $100 or $500. Okay,
it is.
So once you stretch your customer lifetime value, right, the magic is gonna happen is that you will start making more. I think anyone in the logical mind will believe that what I say is true, that you will make more. I think you would agree as well, because once you stretch that, right, you will then suddenly first you will realize that, wait a minute, I'm able to create something that is worth up to 100,000 and make them spend 100,000 if they want to buy everything that I got to offer. That's the first thing that's going to happen. I mean, like, if anyone's listening right now and say that, no, I cannot think of it, you're just not stretching your brain enough. That's what I'm trying to say here, okay? So once you do that, you automatically will sell more and will make more. That's for sure. But the magic happens is that once you make more, what happens is, can you spend more on marketing? Of course, right?
100%.
If your cost per lead jump from $20 to $30, are you gonna shit in your pants anymore? No. And that means you dare to spend more, right? That means you can acquire more customers, right? And you don't worry about like, oh, price goes up or down, you're not worried about that anymore. You are in a different level of play field. And that's not the beautiful part about it. Now, one more, all right, to add to the top of the whole entire cream is that because of doing this MCL TV, because you're making more, now what I want you to do is whatever that you used to charge for your front end product, if you're charging $100, $200, $300, $500, give it up for free.
Okay.
You know what's going to happen? Because everybody in your market is selling that same product, that front end that you're selling, that everybody is charging, like let's say $500, for example. I'm just throwing hypothetical here, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Everybody in your market, your competitor or whatever, you are selling that stuff for $500. That person also selling for around $400-500. Like that's the norm, right? Just like if like you are in a workshop business, a lot of people in the workshop business, their front end workshops, how much? I think it's so easy to predict. 300, 500 pound, 600 pound that for 3 days. It's a standard norm, right?
It's like 297, 497,
correct.
697.
You name it.
That's right.
It's
These
around
are the
there,
prices.
right?
Yeah, it's 100%.
So if you offer your front end for free now, your workshop, 2-3 days workshop, you can do it for free now. Tell me, how many customers are you gonna get?
All the other people that they can see the option for free, and before they were paying for it, I'm like, I'll get it for free. Why should I pay for it? But then you can have, because you have increased your lifetime value of the customer. Now you can afford to do that. That makes absolute perfect sense. And so I invite. Go ahead, Vince.
So just one last.
There is one more. I thought you were done there. No, there is one more. Okay.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question now. If you can give your front end for free, your cost per lead, will it go up or go down? How much does it cost to convince someone to say, come and take my course, 3 days workshop, absolutely free? Will it cost you more or cost you less?
It will go down. It will go down.
Of course.
Because now the offer is better.
Correct. And because of that, and you're going to be able to afford to advertise so much more, and because your conversion is going to go up, your CPR is going to go down. Yeah, that is like,
that's game.
That is amazing.
That's game. So I invite everyone that has been listening to this to think about their business model. Like right now, I'm thinking about my business model. You might be thinking about your business model. You're listening. Okay, what can I improve based on what I learned from this interview? Because one of the things that at GTeX is all about implementation. You get information, implement it straight away. What is one thing that you can implement from what Vince just shared? So now we are at the end of this interview, Vince. It has been wow. It's been wow. So from your story of entrepreneurship, from the lesson, starting from the calendar tip to the funnel part and conversions, the way you dealt with pressure and entrepreneurship, there is a lot of ground that we covered today. And I agree with you. It's been incredibly valuable. So if someone wants to reach out to you, if someone wants to get in touch, what's the best way?
I mean, they can just go to my website, like vincetan.com. That's VINCETAN.com, vincetan.com. That's it.
So vincetan.com, you can see the resources that Vince has prepared for you. Make sure you check it out straight away. While you're here, stop whatever you're doing, scroll down in the show notes, and then check vincetan.com. Now, Vince, if we were to wrap up this interview with a final thought, what will be your final thought to wrap up this interview with?
My most favorite quote of them all is, do not downgrade your dreams to match your reality. Upgrade your faith to match your destiny. And just to quickly share a little bit, like, what does that mean, right? We are all born with a dream. We are all born with ambition. We want to achieve this, we want to achieve that. We are born to be positive from day one. As a baby, we fall down, we step up, we fall down, we step up. We don't even afraid of falling down. So, but along the way, people start to forget their dreams. They think that they shouldn't succeed, maybe because of their family, their background, their country, their government, their loved ones, whatever it is, right? So what I'm trying to say, don't downgrade your dreams to match your current reality, because you're not a product of your own circumstances. You're a product of your own decision. So upgrade your faith, your personal belief a little bit more, believe in yourself a little bit more to achieve what you meant to achieve in life. And that is what I would love to share with everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vince Tan. Vince, thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for listening. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, two things. One, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other episode. And two, leave us a review. Reviews are the lifeblood of every show, of our podcast. If you enjoyed this interview, which I'll lead you this. I'm not saying anything. I had an incredible time, but if you enjoyed just a bit of this interview, let us know, leave us a review and let us know what you think. Having said that, I'll see you next time for another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. And until next time, remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.